riots and protests against the war, and us for having served our country. I could endure rocket attacks, but I couldn't endure mean-spirited words telling me that my generation and I were not worthy. I had been warned to not wear my uniform home, but I did. I was proud of the Army Nurse Corps uniform and of our contribution to the war. In Vietnam, I became numb and felt little fear of rocket and mortar attacks or the ominous vibration of helicopters bringing in another load of casualties. I had no fear of knowing what to do when yet another young soldier with chest injuries needed a ventilator. There, I had overcome my worst fears. But back in the U.S., fear kept me from finding the courage to tell my story. It would lay me open to more criticism, more speculation, more sleepless nights. Who would believe me? Who would care? Beyond that, a huge part of my Vietnam story, the one involving the memorial for women, had yet to come to fruition. As in Vietnam, it took time to become brave, to face what was in front of us. I found my courage again. Part of that comes from the inspiration of so many extraordinary women veterans who have preceded me. I salute them, women such as Florence Nightingale of the Crimean War, Clara Barton of the Civil War, and countless others whose names and contributions regrettably haven't made history books. On a more personal level, there is Vera Brittain, an English woman who served as a volunteer nurse in World War I in the British Empire. When I read of her wartime experiences in her memoir Testament of Youth, I was stunned to realize how deeply I related to her. Even though she served over a century ago, her feelings about the experience of caring for wounded soldiers and war's aftermath for her generation were so close to mine. I honor her by using quotes from her book at the beginning of each of my book's 5 parts. We wouldn't know of these women if they hadn't shared their stories. Now I'll share mine. This is not the definitive story of women and the Vietnam War. It's simply one woman's story about military service and the unexpected journey that followed. I hope it's an inspiration for all women who serve our nation, a reminder that their stories are important too. Diane Carlson Evans, August 2019. Part 1. Facing the Past. Only I felt by some such attempt to write history in terms of personal life could I rescue something that might be of value, some element of truth and hope and usefulness from the smashing up of my own youth by the war. It is true that to do it meant looking back into a past of which many of us, preferring to contemplate tomorrow rather than yesterday, believe ourselves to be tired. But it is only in the light of the past that we, the depleted generation now coming into the control of public affairs, the generation which has to make the present and endeavor to mold the future, can understand ourselves or hope to be understood by our successors. Vera Brittain, Testament of Youth. 1. The Wall. November 1982. The boots. I remember the jungle boots. A cool breeze swept across the National Mall as I joined a growing crowd. The throng gently pushed me along the path, people unaccustomed to such gatherings but loosely tied in purpose. Though cocooned in this pack of people, I felt a quiet solitude as I neared the names etched in granite on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial that was being dedicated on this day. Earlier at the parade, before my focus had narrowed and my heart had started marching double time, the scene was overwhelming. A parade of vets, myself included, locked in a bewildering sense of reunion and pride. Thousands of mainly 30 and 40-something people whose common thread was having served in a war that most of America hated as much as we did. All of